Okay, we're really excited to be here. I'm the Director of Blended Learning, which is a made-up title, but really I oversee two major sides of the house. So the integration side, so we have a support team that helps our teachers integrate technology in their classrooms. And then I oversee our virtual school. So we have a comprehensive high school online, and I'll talk more about that as we kind of go today.
And I'm Bruce Douglas. I'm the Director of Information Technology for Springfield Schools. And kind of like I said, I support Nichole in all of her endeavors. You know, she's a great visionary, wants to bring great things to Springfield Schools. And so I just try and make that happen and try and make technology invisible. So that's really my goal as the Director of Technology, is so that no one has to worry about it. So Springfield Public Schools is the largest accredited school district in Missouri. So we've got about 25,000 students, about 2,500 certified staff members that we support, of teachers, principals, counselors, etc. We currently have about 52 schools. So we're pretty spread out in terms of how many schools we have. We have some really small schools of 200 students. We've got a high school of about 1,800 students. And all over the map in terms of our free and reduced lunch students. So 56% across the entire district, but we've got some elementaries that are over 90%, some elementaries that are below 10%. So a big variety of student population that we serve, and we are part of the League of Innovative Schools. So we got accepted into that last year, which is a huge honor. Thank you. So 5 years ago, Nichole came to the administrative side after being a teacher of 12 years or 14 years. 12 years, at one of our high schools as a journalism teacher. So when she came, we were at a point in time that we had multiple ways for people to do anything under the sun. So we had multiple LMSs that people were using. We had websites that teachers were using. We had a lot of different systems with a lot of different logins that people were using. We had resources all over the place in terms of curriculum here, curriculum there. We had professional learning software for multiple different pieces. So we were very sprawled out. I just want a quick show of hands. Anyone ever been in a situation like that? Yeah, I kind of figured. So when Nichole came on, we really kind of hit it off really quickly in terms of how we wanted to start approaching this. And so we really wanted to start saying, yes, we want to make this easier for you.
So this is my philosophy is saying yes to solutions, right? So we want to make things easy. We want to simplify it. My team believes in the power of yes. So I will give Bruce a compliment. He's not your average IT director. He also believes in yes. So if we didn't have everything locked down and if we didn't require every department to have their own software, if we really looked at possibilities, right, what might we have? And 5 years ago, the idea of non-server-based software was crazy, right? So the cloud, where is it? I can't see it. What's happening? And so we were trying to find solutions where we could say yes to people and simplify their life. And through this process, we have basically 5 things we really believe. So I want to run through them because it's the basis of everything that we do. So I believe that we have to start with the need and stop talking about solutions, right? So every vendor out there, right, is going to sell you a solution, right? But what is your need? And if you don't know your user's needs, you have no idea what solution you're looking for, right? So every single department leader had a different solution they thought that their users needed. So this was where we started. The second thing we really believe is one place is better than all the places, right? I'll never forget our former superintendent. I went in his office and he had around his monitor, it looked like a lion's mane, and it was all stickies with passwords, right? It was super secure. So that's how he was trying to keep track of everything, right? And how many of you have little notebooks you keep all your passwords in, right? Or you have an app that you try to track it. So we really wanted to eliminate that for teachers and for students. It's hard for a kindergartner to know 3 different logins, right? So what if we got that all in one place? The next thing we really believe is that in a learning institution, everyone's a learner. Your teachers are learners, your custodians are learners, your bus drivers are learners. Where are they learning, right? It's not just students. Secretaries are learners, right? So how are we meeting the needs of those learners as a learning institution? The other thing we really believed is that modern learners are digital learners, right? So the days of what we're doing right now, right, isn't really where everyone has been for the future, right? So we have to figure out a way to do that, that platform. And then, sorry, these kind of messed up when they brought them over. And then the last thing we just believe is that in order to do this well, you have to be agile, right? So the solution that we brought in 5 years ago is not the solution we have now, but Canvas has adopted and changed with us, right, to meet our needs. So you have to have an agile solution, and that's what we were really looking for.
So whenever we started looking at what do we need to make this happen, we identified 3 major areas. So one of resources, everyone needs content, the resources to be able to do their learning. Support is a big piece of, if you don't know the tool, you can't use it effectively. And then obviously we need instruction. So we need to be able to teach all of our learners and provide them a learning environment that they can.
He wants us to be closer together.
All right, we can get close.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone needs these 3 pieces to really be successful. So as we went through our RFP process, this is where we landed on Canvas. And we had a very unique RFP process with our LMS in that high school students actually selected it. So we had high school students come in, Blackboard and Canvas came in, presented to the high school students, and the quote that we continually use from our students is, "Canvas is so easy, my teacher can use it." And so it was very clear what direction we were going to head, and so we adopted Canvas in December. We had our first online course running in January. So it was so easy, so effective for us that we knew we were in the right spot. We knew that the core tenets that we had of being agile, ensuring that we're hitting all learners, that we're getting everything in one place, we knew we had it with Canvas. So,
and I'll say before you move on, there is a difference between resources, support, and instruction. And so you need one solution that does all of those things, right? So just instruction alone isn't the same thing as a resource library, right? And I do see a lot of customers using Canvas as a website, right, for resources, which is great. But don't forget it can do the other 2 things too, right? So where is the support that's tied to the resources, that's tied to the instruction? So I think it's important to keep that in mind as we go through the rest of what we're going to show you today.
Yeah. So we believe in laying a really good foundation. So luckily, whenever we brought on Canvas, Nichole and I got hooked up by a mentor of ours. And so we started brainstorming around how are we going to get this really easy for teachers and for students, but also make sure that it's scalable from my standpoint, for my sanity. So we had 2 major areas that we identified from IT support, so what I brought to the table. So one was automation, which is all our course rostering, supporting multiple different types of courses. As you'll see as we get into our presentation, it's not just the classroom courses that we're rostering. We do whole building rosters where every student is in one course for, say, a library or for a counseling solution as well. We do our staff rostering as well, and that's all automated because I don't want to have a teacher have to go in and roster a course. That's an extra step that we can take off the table. That's something I truly believe in. The other piece we really believed in is that single sign-on. So again, having the lion's mane of passwords isn't a great solution. And so we actually are in a great place where we do not adopt curriculum software unless it has single sign-on through Canvas. And with those 2 pieces together where people don't have to do the setup, they don't have to think about how they get to resources, it creates that really simple solution. And it enabled this type of growth. So the daily use from our very first semester was about 1,000 users. So we rolled out our first online course. We started rolling out professional learning courses where our teachers were students learning the platform. Within 2 years, we had over 24,000 users every single day. And that was by some really intentional design. It was by being very agile because that was not at all what we expected.
So we had a 3-year plan for how we were going to roll out Canvas. And in 6 months, we literally just said, let's just let it go, right? So it was going to be, we were going to let high school have it, and then we were going to let middle school have it, and then we were going to let elementary have it. But when the first 3rd grade teacher called my office and said, can I have Canvas? That's a moment in time, right? Where you can say yes or you can say no. And if you say no, right, you've taken away that supply and demand. They had a need, and you said, no, we'll see you in 2 years, right? So what do? They go find another solution, right? And we don't want them to do that. So we ripped it up and said, let's make it happen. So Bruce just rostered everything over, and we said it's available if you want to go, right? You don't have to go, but let's go. And that kind of philosophy, I think, makes this chart possible. So we've been talking this week with people who have low rates of adoption. So you might go back to what was your original strategy when you rolled it out, right? Were you saying no? Were you putting timelines around it, perimeters around it? And so this has been Not what we thought it would look like, right? But it's worked for us. So as Bruce mentioned, we really started with teachers being learners first. I'm actually going to pop out of here and jump into Canvas, and hopefully our Wi-Fi is going to play nicely. So this is our curriculum and instruction course. As Bruce mentioned previously, our curriculum sat on a wiki, and it was a disaster. I'm looking at our curriculum director, previously not in that role, but she's here today if you have specific questions about this. But this was one of the very first things we did, is put your curriculum in Canvas. So we believe in what's called engineered collisions, right? So people won't use a product unless you make them use a product, right? So we moved our curriculum into Canvas. That was one of the first things we did. And so really what it looks like is our teachers come in. This is a kindergarten example. It's not complicated to build out. These tabs are done with some simple HTML code. And these are just Google Docs, right? So we take Google Docs and we feed them to our teachers in Canvas. Do our teachers know that their curriculum lives in Google? No, right? To them, their curriculum lives in Canvas. So this was a really easy solution that we did right off the bat. And we've had lots of iterations and it changes continuously. The other thing we did with our curriculum course is all of our workshops and trainings are either filmed or that we ask the vendor for the resources and we link them here, right? So now it's resources and it's support all in the same place. So if you missed a training, no big deal, you go back, right? If you're right now and you're listening and you think, I can't remember what she said, you go back in, you click on it, and you can go through it. So we set those up as modules, and they're optional for our teachers to come in and out. So this has been awesome for us. Tons of resources in here, one-stop shop. So the next thing we did alongside of curriculum, Bruce mentioned we had a separate platform for professional learning. It was called PD360. Has anyone heard of PD360? Okay. So PD360 was expensive. Our teachers told us, that's great that there's videos of other teachers teaching, but we want to see videos of our teachers teaching our curriculum. So we started filming that, right? And so we started putting it into 3-minute clips where you could come in and watch. The next iteration of that is we're going to align that to our teacher evaluation system. So it's all one place for you. So all of your indicators that you might have on your evaluation plan, you can now come into Standard 1, you can click on 1.1, and we aligned all of the videos for our teachers in one place. So these were our teachers that we filmed. You don't have to have a video crew, you need a flip cam, right? So filming a strategy, filming a lesson, laying it out, and again, it was all aligned for them. The other thing Glass Classroom did is because we said yes to letting Canvas blow up as fast as it needed to, is we had no way to train it, right? At the time, there was me and Bruce doing Canvas for 2,500 staff members. So we used Canvas to train Canvas. So we built modules in Canvas and Glass Classroom for them to go to. And again, this has gone through lots of different iterations. This is where we are now. But it's super simple on purpose. We could design this and make it flashy, but when you're learning a product, you just want to go, what do I do, right? So here's a PDF, and here's a video, whichever your learning style is, and it just walks you through it. So my advice to you when you're setting up something like this is have one course. So every department has a different training. Remember I mentioned bus drivers? Remember I mentioned custodians? All of their training lives here too. And we just nest the courses. So they're all nested through modules. And we push them through buttons, right, to where you need to go. So these are all the modules that live in here, and this is thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. And we roster everyone in as a student. And this is where all the learning happens in our system. So this has worked for us up to this point, and I'll kind of talk about our next thing. Question?
Is it okay to answer?
Please, yeah. I wouldn't normally stand behind a podium, but they're making me, so.
I'm that PD guy that likes to record everything, and I understand that there's people who will always say they don't have time to watch it. Do you get pushback from teachers? And I know the answer is yes, but what do you do about it? Those teachers that say, I have to have face-to-face.
So we blend a lot of our trainings. So we offer it online and we offer it face-to-face. And what we've seen is that pendulum start to really shift to more teachers preferring the online. For our Explore program, which is our summer learning program, we require them to learn both ways, right? So there's some online components that you do before you come to the face-to-face. I even think for people who prefer face-to-face, having the resources after is really powerful for them. The other thing we're really passionate about is we don't upload any video that's more than 3 minutes long. So we're gonna chunk that training for them so that's what teachers don't wanna do. None of us do either. Do you ever start a webinar and it's like 64 minutes and you go, nope, right? Like, I'm not gonna do that today. So we chunk it into little parts for them, which makes it easier for them. Question?
So you said that, I'm just assuming, that all your teachers are put in as a student?
Correct. And our bus drivers and our custodians.
So
and
how
yes.
does that affect their rights as a teacher? I mean, is it a completely different login?
Nope. So on their dashboard, they see the courses that they're teachers and the courses that they're students. And all they know is the courses they're teachers, they have an edit button, and the courses they're students, they don't.
Yeah, and so how we handle that from a technology standpoint of rostering every staff member we have into these courses is it's just one course, and then out of our HR system, we pull them all out and dump them in that course every night, and it's constantly updated. So as new staff members come on, they already have access.
Yes.
So as part of your PD development for your teachers, are you requiring certain time spent on task or tests or
You know, it's all built into their evaluation plan. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, do we require PD time on task? So it's built into their growth plan. So if they say, I'm going to do a glass classroom module, that's part of their growth plan. And then their administrator is going to follow back up on that. And Canvas is going to produce analytics if we have concern that a teacher hasn't done that. Good question. Yeah, keep going. No, you're good. I'm just getting into another place here. Please do. No, go ahead.
All right. Your teachers, we run a virtual course as well. We're just sliding this now into our blended learning program that we've been running for 3 years to get teachers to create content. We've done that in the past in other iterations. Are your teachers creating courses, or are they just using canned courses for like Florida virtual schools?
No, we create all of our own content. We actually purchase nothing.
And then when they create it, who looks it over and says, yeah, that works?
So the question was, do they create their own content or do we purchase content? So we 100% build our own content. Our curriculum director, Allison's in the room. Can you wave again, Allison? So she can answer a lot of questions for you. I'll show you at the end where we're moving to, thanks to Blueprint courses and Commons. But we have blended learning specialists in all of our sites who work with our teachers to ensure that they know how to use Canvas. At the end of the day, do we know everything they're putting in there? That's impossible with 2,500 staff members, but we have put a lot of safety nets in place and a lot of resources for them. Okay, so the next thing we did after that is we built out what is called the virtual library. So this is when the students started to collide with Canvas. This was all, when I say the next thing, this was like within days of each other, right? So these products were all being built at the same time. And this is really our single sign-on platform. So we believe that students should be able to get everything they need in one place, just like teachers. So every single one of our students is enrolled in a virtual library as a student. I'm also over library services. We spend a lot of money on software and libraries and databases that aren't used, and it's because they don't know the password to the databases. So we try to get all of that single sign-on. And I'll let Bruce talk about that. I'm going to actually show it to you from my daughter's account so that you can see what it looks like for her.
Yeah, and we customize it based upon their age level. So we have an elementary virtual library, a middle school virtual library, and a high school virtual library. The teachers are also enrolled as students in this, so teachers are getting their single sign-on through the exact same way that students are. So you can see here that we have a number of databases that are available through the virtual library, and these are all single sign-on, and we have multiple different ways of handling single sign-on. Now, Canvas does act as our identity provider, so we are just using the built-in Canvas authentication. So on databases, you may see just authenticating URLs that already have the username and password built into the URL. So it's password protected, so there's a limited amount of security, but there's an idea of security around it. Whenever we get into our online locker, this is where we start to get a little more complex. And the idea here was that students would go to their online locker and be able to pick up their textbook or their resource that they need for the day. So for Dreambox, for Lexia, for these types of resources, we're using Clever. And Clever's been a great partner for us. We were the first school district actually
If
to
Flash
use.
was installed, you could.
If Flash was installed on this particular machine. It's one of those really easy ones that we've been able to expand in 2 years up past 20 applications, which is really great. Additionally, we have Mcgraw Hill, which has been a great resource for us, and they use an LTI, actually the same LTI they use for higher ed. And we just worked with them on creating the upload files. We installed the LTI on the virtual library, so every single student goes to the exact same spot to get into this. So that's one of the requirements we have with our curriculum adoptions, and if they can't do single sign-on, they can't be part of SPS. So that's been really key for us.
Question. Yes. So we'll go, yeah, so we'll talk about that in a second, but let me bring that up. So all of our 3 through 12 students have Chromebooks, and our K2 classrooms, they have a Chromebook cart and then 8 iPads as well. So this is my daughter's account. She's going into first grade. She's brilliant. And so she didn't need any passwords to get into any of those systems, right? So when she comes home at night, she can show me anything, right? She doesn't need her have you seen the password rings that they give kids? When it's like a flashcard with all the passwords, right? So she can show me at home what she's doing at school in her software, which is really nice. So the next thing we work through were with our building leaders. Your building leaders are your gateway to adoption and success. So this is an example of an elementary principals course. So the principal's the teacher. The teachers are enrolled as students. So the days of you having the binder of school-wide information, let's say you update your crisis plan and the secretary ran around with the copies, right? Remove page 5, put page 5 in, the new page 5, we changed the recess schedule. All of that now lives in Canvas, and it's updated live. And this is how we got our leaders on board so that they became teachers of their teachers. The other thing that this has allowed us to do is to push out any newsletters. So for example, this was end of year for her, but her newsletter is embedded right in. This is just a s'more embedded in. And then she's archived all her newsletters here. So principals love this. It's a great way to get them involved, get them on board. She even pushes out assignments and modules to her staff. Our staff are also on mobile devices. They come to faculty meetings with laptops ready to go. So this has been great for us. So our one-to-one initiative is actually called Ignite, and we use Canvas to support that in 1,000 ways, but it has its own course. One of the things we do each year is what we call the Ignite Kickoff, and so teachers have voice and choice in that day, but what we always hear is, I want to go to everything, right? They're only 30-minute sessions, and I'm sure you're experiencing that today. So how do we get those resources? So they can come in here at any time, and they can click back on a class that they didn't get to go to, or get all the resources for a session that they did attend. So all of that lives in here as well. Sure. Yep. So again, we have blended learning specialists who support in the buildings. They're really our boots on the ground, making sure Ignite is successful. One of the unique components of Ignite for us is we provide mobile hotspots for any student who does not have internet. And I could do a whole thing on that. It's a moral imperative that we give kids internet. If you're sending them home with a device and they don't, we're just making the divide further apart. We use Kajeets, look into them. It's Kajeet, simple solution. It has nothing to do with this presentation, but I love it, so.
Yeah. And one of the major things that Canvas supports out of Ignite is that teachers have something to do with devices. So we've talked to a lot of different school districts as we've gone through our one-to-one before we started our one-to-one, and we really see Canvas as being the backbone of this. So it's built into our teacher evaluation as we bring on Ignite schools. That's part of their evaluation for the school year. It's just how are you utilizing Ignite in your classroom, and that is K-12. So we've got kindergartners that are getting into Canvas, utilizing it effectively in a lot of different ways.
So I did want to show you what it looks like, what the teacher courses look like, since that was a question that you had, is what just does their average day-to-day course look like. So let me pull this one up. I'm just going blind because I know Kate does awesome stuff. So we'll see if this is the right one.
It's always dangerous.
It is dangerous doing this live with the light in your face. So this is an example of a teacher, 3rd, 4th split classroom, what the front of her page might look like. So we're going to help her with support. We can template her course if she wants, but she also has complete autonomy to run it the way that she wants. How many courses do we roster a day?
Thousands, I lose track.
It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, so that's kind of where we started, especially on the PD side. I had a bunch of screenshots in case the internet didn't work, but it totally did, so that's good. So let's jump back here for a minute. So the title of this presentation was The LMS Who Loved Us. So Canvas loves us and we love Canvas for lots of reasons, engaging students, this whole idea that we're going to make teaching and learning easier, and it saves tons of time and effort. And super shout out to our CSM Alan, who has kept us all rolling. When you go this big, you need solid support behind you, so that's been awesome.
Yeah, and as we've gone over all of this and really thought about how does this progress, where are we heading, Nichole talked about we had our 3-year rollout plan, high school, middle school, elementary, and you can kind of look at that as that blue line right there. So that's our progress. We were going to take one step at a time and just keep moving forward. But we know that in reality what happens is that we're moving forward and we're going to have a fire alarm, is that right? That's awesome.
That's probably about right.
Yeah. So we're going to stay until someone kicks us out. Alan, I'm looking at you to save us, okay?
We're good.
We're good.
Okay, we're gonna.
So we expect this.
At first I was like, is there a strobe light?
So we expect linear progress, but we know what really happens is we get to this point where everything just explodes on us. And what happened is we started with Canvas. Within 6 months, we had people just pounding at the door of, we want it now, we want it now, we can do this. And you can really see in our enrollment numbers and our daily use numbers and just the adoption rate of Canvas, that exponential growth is what happens. So as we head into this next piece, I want you to kind of think about this quote, that if education continues to advance one step at a time, it'll fall exponentially behind the world for which it aims to prepare learners. And that's the world we live in right now. We've heard that time and time and again. Our keynotes are telling this too, and it's something to think about as you're planning out your Canvas instance, as you're working in Canvas, and as you're supporting people.
So that's where we've been for 5 years. Here's where we think we're going to be in the next 18 months. So we don't know because one of my favorite quotes is being an adult is like walking across the street and getting hit by an airplane, right? So we get up and we think we know what we're going to do with these jobs. And if you're doing them well, you should have lots of being hit by airplane moments, right? Lots of moments where you think you're going this way and then you get a cool project and you go, yeah, let's go that way, or yeah, let's try that. So thanks to Canvas, there's a lot of cool things coming that are changing the way that we're doing everything we just showed you. If you have not dug into Mastery Pass, you have to. It is the biggest update that Canvas has had in 5 years. It is truly allowing you to personalize instruction for your teachers through their professional development and for students. It's huge, and I'm still surprised at how many districts don't know about Mastery Pass or haven't really dug into it. We are now using a design tool called City Labs. Remember I talked to you about don't buy vendors just to buy vendors, right? Listen for need and come up with solutions. Easy ways to design and template Canvas page was a huge need for us, and so we've partnered with City Labs, and I'll show you what that product looks like, and I'm happy to talk about it offline after. I don't work for them, but I love their product.